Okay, I've been looking forward to this one all week. I am joined by Al Hope, creative lead on Alien Isolation. We're going to go through a little demo here on PS4. This one's coming out this October. Now, Al, this is a different take on the Alien mythos. Kind of get us up to speed on what your philosophy on Alien Isolation is.
Yeah, so I think right from the start, it felt like we really wanted to make a game, the Alien game that we wanted to play. I think games based on the franchise previously had really looked towards the James Cameron Aliens experience, which is totally cool.
Yeah.
But I think we really wanted to really go back to Ridley Scott's kind of original vision, back to the sort of haunted house in space. But with a new story, with a new character, but really give the player a sense of being underpowered and underprepared to confront what they were going to have to face. And I guess it was really trying to let the player experience what it'd be like to encounter that original, terrifying, massive, intelligent creature.
Yeah, so, I mean, you guys have done a lot of great just discussion about how you've approached designing the alien in Alien Isolation. This is much more return to H.R. Giger's original design, but there's a lot of fidelity that you get with a system like PS4 that you couldn't have captured, in prior generations. So talk a little bit about what that power lets you do.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think, one of the great things about Alien is this really amazingly realized world. It's really, I think one of the sort of greatest things about Alien is it's really, really believable, right? It's 35 years old this year, but I think we could watch it right now and still get an emotional reaction out of it because it's just so well crafted. It's a real testament to the sort of cinematic and creative work that went into that film. And so I think, we want to stay really true to that original spirit. And that's no less the case for the Alien. That we really wanted to fully realize that creature, and I guess we set out to make the most high fidelity alien in video games, and again absolutely harnessing the power of PlayStation 4. Whether that's visually or in order to create this, we had to kind of build it from the ground up. So huge amount of work's gone into the animation, so it's fluid, it feels natural, and again really, really believable. It can navigate the world in a way that feels totally realistic and natural.
Now, one of the things I really like about the premise behind Alien Isolation, it's set after Alien, but before Aliens, and you actually play not as Ellen Ripley, but Amanda Ripley, her daughter, who doesn't know what happened to her mother.
Right.
And it was funny, I remember hearing this and thinking, man, that's the most obvious setup for, but nobody's done it. It's a great setup. And tell me what kind of led you to this Amanda Ripley.
Right, so from the outset, I really wanted to make a game that was as close as possible to that original film. We love the whole kind of look and feel, that sort of 70s aesthetic, that kind of used future. So we really wanted to capitalize on that. And so, we needed to position a story that would enable that. And of course, we had this kind of light bulb moment, realizing there was this, in Amanda, this amazing character whose story hadn't been told. And this sort of, okay, what would happen there? What would happen if she were to confront that horror? And so I think from that moment on, and with Fox's blessing, there was only really one option, and that was to play as Amanda Ripley.
Good choice. Now we're getting a look here at some PS4 gameplay, very richly detailed environment, and I see some bad news, I think, just outside that locker. Tell me a little bit about how Amanda Ripley, or the player, interacts with the alien.
So, Alien Isolation is very much about survival. It's not about trying to kill the alien. And so that sort of shift in emphasis really makes the player have to really think about the world around them, really using the environment to their advantage. And so here, they're hiding in a locker. It's a very basic interaction, but it might just save you, and in that case, it did. It's about really constantly having an understanding of the world around you, and here you can, it's trying to break line of sight to try and make sure that the alien can't actually spot you. So you can hide inside objects, behind objects, under objects.
And look at the detail on that model and the animation. I had a chance to play this actually a few months ago, an early version on PS4, and it's stunning. The visuals are excellent, as you can see here. very faithful to that sort of, as you guys have described it, a lo-fi, sci-fi world. And we have a motion tracker here, which is a really effective way to jack up the tension. So, I mean, you're sort of dueling wits with the galaxy's most formidable predator. Talk a little bit about what the player's going to need to do to stay out of the way of the alien.
Right, so yeah, I mean, you've got the motion tracker. It's quite an imperfect device, but it's a very physical thing. We didn't want it to feel like some kind of magic map. It wanted to feel like it was something that you actually had to hold and use and look at. At the same time, we also give the player, there's a crafting system, so as you navigate through the world and explore and you find objects, you can put these components together to build tools and devices which, if used at the right time, in the right place, might change the odds. So, for example, there's this strange contraption we call the noisemaker, which is 2 speakers with a bit of circuitry, and if you throw that in the world, it starts making this really strange sounds, but that will attract the attention of anything around, and that might give you the chance to slip through. So interestingly here, the player has just spied so on the station there's sort of small inhabitants, and they're in the same situation as the player. They're desperate to survive, and they're really unpredictable. Sometimes they're kind of positive, and sometimes they're negative, and the player's just spotted someone. And rather than find out how that's going to go down, they've decided to actually put themselves at risk and go inside the ductwork inside the station, which is a very high, intense situation here, because this is the domain of the alien.
So one of the things that impressed me when I played the game was the alien, actually, the artificial intelligence. You guys actually have an interesting approach to this. The alien actually has senses. You sort of simulate how the alien behaves. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think from the start, we knew that if the alien was scripted, if it was on a preset pattern or a path, then for the player, it would start to, the scariness would start to diminish as you'd start to learn the pattern. And so we realized early on that this creature was going to have to use its senses of sight and sound to just drive its own behavior. So, as much as possible, we try and step back and just create a space and let the alien inhabit that world. And so when you're playing, it's very dynamic and reactive. And every time you play, it's a different experience. Everyone has a different story as to how they survive, because it's completely unpredictable.
Now, one of the things that's interesting here, we're seeing this flashlight in action, and I was actually impressed that the controls in the game are pretty simple. It's not, you don't have to fumble with a lot of buttons, but you actually have control over the narrowness and the width of that flashlight beam. You can focus it or expand it. Talk about how that factors into gameplay.
Well, so light's really important. The station is this very broken environment, and so being able to navigate your way is a really important part of the game. It almost acts as a puzzle in itself. That's something that really occupies the player. And obviously, with the alien around, you're having to navigate under a huge amount of pressure. And so light is important. But of course, at the same time, if you switch your light on, then that's a massive beacon to the alien. And so you have to use, again, it's using what you have at the right place at the right time, and using it, in a way that will help you to survive.
Now, I love this effect here with this dazzling sunlight sort of blasting through these windows. I think this looks so good. This is such a good-looking game on PS4. It's also on PS3, though, as well.
Yeah, that's right. And, for a long time, we were developing on PlayStation 3, kind of solely. And the core experience for both platforms is the same. I think we got some real rocket scientists back at the studio, and we're using our own proprietary tech on these platforms. And it really, I think we knew what we wanted to make from the start. We wanted to make this really immersive experience, which would be about lights and it'd be about effects and about sound. And so it felt like the right path for us was to create our own technology in order to deliver this. It's kind of a bespoke just for this game.
I want to talk a little bit about sort of the mechanics of fear in a horror game here. And I think something you guys do very, very well is all too many games or movies that are scary, it's all about jump scares, startling you, and eventually the player just kind of gets numb to it. You guys are really good at building atmosphere. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think a large part of that comes from immersion. I think the level of fidelity in the world, the effects and the lighting really help feed the player, get the player into a certain space in their head. Then when you combine that with the fact that the alien is unpredictable, its AI is unpredictable, you're not sure. I mean, I think that kind of really goes all the way back to what I think is horror. It's about the unknown, about not knowing what's around the corner. And the fact that it is unpredictable and dynamic and reactive means that you can't be sure. It does keep you the tension. I guess that's the fun thing for us is we've been working on this game for over 3 years. And, we, as developers, we play the game every day, all day, every day. And yet, this game gets our hearts thumping, and we die. It still has a sort of an emotional effect on us because every time we play it, it's like playing for the first time again because we don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So here we are. Talk to me a little bit about what we're seeing here. I haven't seen this footage, actually.
So in this part of at E3, we're showing a new slice of the game from the main campaign, and here the player is trying to they're trying to hack their way into the system, but they've now been approached by and attacked by these really super tough and super strong synthetics.
I prefer the term artificial person myself. Sorry.
Yeah, but and like I say, they're super tough, and so the players just use the iconic flamethrower to try and take them down. Looks like they had a few pistol rounds, so they've used those. But the player also has an EMP mine, which hopefully they'll use that.
This is bad news.
Okay, so that's stunned it, and hopefully we'll go in and try and finish him off.
Now, these synthetics, as we've seen from the first film and from the second, are quite tough.
Yeah, I mean, so the station is run by a different corporation. It's run by Seegson, which is a new part of the universe. They're nowhere near as advanced as Weyland-Yutani, so this is their version of. Well, they can't produce androids at the same level as Ash, and so this is their kind of much more back to basics version. Like I said, earlier, during the game, they are positive, and they help the player, but it's unpredictable. You're not sure which way they're going to go.
Now, I did see a handgun come out there at one point to shoot the synthetic, it looked like. I'm assuming if you try that against the alien, that's not going to get you too far.
No, that's not going to be very effective at all. I mean, I think the interesting thing for us is putting these things in the world and just letting the player choose how they use them. Yeah, there is a pistol. Ammo is very, very limited, and it really is a high risk. You can use it, but it's going to make a huge amount of noise, and that really is going to attract the wrong kind of attention. And so, again, it is about using the right thing at the right time in order to try and survive. I mean, here it's interesting. The players looking like I think they've just found the alien. I think all the noise in the world has attracted the alien, and the alien has instead of charging at the player, has gone back into the vents, gone over their head, and come back behind them to get them. So quite a smart way of tackling the threat of the player.
Nice. Okay, well, I think we're just about out of time, but Alien Isolation is coming out this October on PS3 and PS4.
That's correct.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really looking forward to it. Definitely want to...
PlayStation